What separates us from God? And we were saying, well, we did that. We walked away from God. And as a kid, I used to wonder, does that mean like God's kind of a sore loser? If we don't play his way, he takes the ball and bat, kicks us out of his kingdom. And I don't think that's the issue at all. Here we have a perfect universe with a God that is described as love. John describes him as love, and a perfect universe. And we know in the Bible story we've got fallen angels at this point already. And then the human race joins in the rebellion and steps away from God. Now there's this case study. Here's this planet with creatures made by God, and they are living a life that does not reflect the glory of God anymore. Now we have an issue because God can actually be blamed for our behavior. That's what God created, that down there. Do you see how those people hate each other? Mm-hmm. Do you see the violence? Do you see the crime? God has no choice. A righteous God has no choice but to separate himself from that.
That's right.
I don't believe so. And, that would be another topic for another show, but basically our existence now impugns the goodness of God.
It sure does.
Yeah.
It sure does. You mentioned, does God kick us out of the game? No, God's not kicking us out of the game. There's no game.
No, that's right.
We don't have a bat. We don't have a ball. We don't have a glove. There's nothing to play. We have completely extricated ourselves from it, and he's trying to get us back into a place.
Exactly. All right.
So this relationship then is broken. Trust is broken there in Genesis chapter 3, and so the question is, how do we get that back, and who's responsible to bring that all back together? And that's where we were led to Philippians 2:13.
Okay.
So Philippians 2:13 says, "For it is God who works in you both to will and to do for his good pleasure." And the question is, who leads us to be reconciled to God?
Right.
What do you think about that?
Well, obviously, it is God who works in you. Here's the way that the Bible describes it, that we have become so debased and disabled by sin. The minute we became selfish and self-oriented, it's like all the gauges on the dashboard died. We don't know how fast we're going. We don't know if we're moral or not. And if you're going to plan your own morality, that's the world we live in now. Everybody just makes up their own thing.
Sure.
And the Bible describes at one point a condition where everybody did what was right in their own eyes.
That's right.
That's where we are now. And there's no way out of that until God reaches in and begins to stir your heart and show you something is remiss. Romans 2 verse 4 says that God gives us the gift of repentance. We would never feel sorry for sin except that he still loves us enough to reach in and wake the heart up a little bit.
Some people that might be listening to this program right now may be thinking to themselves, but I'm not that bad. Is there?
Oh, your gauges are broken, right?
And that's the question. Is there any good in us? Is there anything? You get some folks that talk about, especially when they're talking about Eastern religions and
yes,
and meditating inside, trying to find
the inner light.
Yeah, does that exist?
Yeah, I say no. At least biblical theology says no. We are debased apart from God. There's nothing we can do to repair ourselves. Can the leopard change his spots, the Old Testament asks? And the implied answer is no. You're powerless to fix this. Mm-hmm. Again, because you've been blinded. The Bible refers to sin as darkness all the time, telling us you're in the dark, you can't even see clearly.
So Genesis 3 then is something that is more, it's greater than just reaching out and grabbing some fruit and eating that. That something happened there drastically.
We willfully stepped away from a relationship with God. He said, this is the one, it was just a test of loyalty. I don't think there was any magic in that fruit. There was no poison in that fruit. It was, if you're with me, because God is love, we have to have the opportunity to choose him, or we're not loving him back if it's not voluntary. So there's got to be some mechanism somewhere where you can choose against him, and that's what we did. We broke trust. We didn't poison ourselves. We did spiritually poison ourselves, but we broke trust.
And it changed our entire constitution and that of the whole earth, because in the New Testament it talks about the entire world groaning. The whole creation is groaning for God to come and change it all back.
And we all sense something is not right. Ecclesiastes 3 verse 11, at least in some of the older translations, says we have eternity in the heart. There's still a memory of the things of the way that the world was, and we all instinctively know that something is wrong with the world the way it is because, we're comparing it to something.
Yeah, that's right.
Otherwise, why is it wrong? Why is it wrong that people suffer?
That's right.
What are we comparing it to?